So here we are today in studio, both of us. This is fun.
Yeah, special edition.
This is our season 1. Not only is Ashley in the studio with me today, but we have our 2 furry co-hosts, Lady and Molly.
That you probably hear on other episodes if I don't hit the mute button fast enough.
That's right. But we are going to let them kind of ride it out and make some noise to be with us. They are cute as shit, though my dog is not having it. So, but we wanted to get together and kind of talk a little bit about how the first year went for our season 1 finale, and get into what we're looking to do for 2024. So, with that, I guess Ashley, why don't you kick it off with what was it like starting this? This was our first year. What was it like starting it, and where we started and where we are now?
I feel like it's crazy.
Yeah.
I was like starting to write an article, and I was like, oh yeah, like I texted you like 6 months before we actually went live with the first episode. I was like, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
And then it took like 4 months to order the mic.
Yes.
Because I was like, I can't do that.
That's right.
No,
it took you forever.
Yeah. Maybe it was also the money. I was like, oh, all right. If I spend $200 on a fucking microphone, we're fucking doing this. Yes.
Hey, sometimes that's what it takes.
It's also like the cheapest thing since we started the podcast.
Oh my God, yeah. I know. I've been shocked by how much money that we've had to invest to get this thing off the ground, not only financially, but just our time.
Mostly our time.
Yeah.
I don't think I was too surprised about some of the costs. And I guess you could really do it like much cheaper, but we wanted to make sure that it was, I don't know, high quality. Yeah. But also just like the feedback that we've gotten, and like the fact that we found so many guests and continue to be booked through May. What is it? May.
Yeah, May now, I think.
So
it's wild.
I think that's pretty great.
Yeah, we have, half a season 2 already booked.
Yeah. But we always need more guests, so come out and be a guest. Yes,
always. How has it been finding guests? Like, was that a surprise that we were able to get so many guests so fast and on such a regular cadence?
Yeah, I mean, like some of the family and friends, I don't think were as much of a surprise because they kind of offered. But we had I think we actually had like more net new people than actually people we know, which was nice because I didn't necessarily want it to just like be people we know.
No, we needed more stories than that.
Yeah, which was good.
I was surprised how fast we got new guests. Like I thought it would be, I mean, you've been amazing at like getting guests scheduled and stuff and running all that, but just like how many people want to share was surprising to me. I thought it would be really hard to sell people on sharing.
Me too. I also can't believe I found most of them on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy.
The place that's supposed to be like professional. But that's the point, is that we need to start talking about this on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And in the workplace.
Yeah, without a doubt. What has been something that has been surprisingly difficult doing this and running this?
I'm going to take your answer, but...
You can take it.
No, well, yours is going to be more about the like recording and editing, whereas mine is just more about like, well, I think that's what you're going to say.
Okay.
But, well, maybe that's not what you're going to say. But one thing would be like just the mental load. Like I think we had like one night where we had like 2 or 3 recordings.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I was like, fuck that, never again. I don't want to talk about death for 9 hours straight. Yeah. So I would probably say that. Although I don't know that should have been a surprise. I think that the surprise is that we had like 3 people to talk about this with in one night. But there's like a good and a bad to that. So like in terms of like the mental load.
Yeah. We could have been, I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of us being a little bit naive on being like, yeah, we can just talk about death all the time and it's going to be fine. I think there's a little bit of naivety. How the fuck do you say that word?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, everybody knows what I'm talking about. Of like, this surely won't affect us or it won't affect me because like this is what I've dealt with for 10 years, so it'll be fine.
This is what I want to talk about.
But it's been hard. Like it's been hard being able to like engage with the guest if it's been a really hard day.
Yeah.
So then it's like my emotional reserves are super low anyways.
Yes.
But I want to make sure that the guest gets my full presence. and then having to listen to it over and over while editing.
I told you that's what you were going to say.
You did, but maybe not for the technical reasons of it, because
no, I know I wasn't talking about the technical reasons.
Yeah.
I was talking about that.
Yeah,
but yeah, I would agree with that.
There's been a lot of learning though. Like you said, like back-to-back recordings. We're like, no, let's not do that. Like we've really learned how to hone in our schedule.
Agree.
To kind of work for us.
Agree. Oh, the hardest thing. Did we talk about the hardest thing? Were we going to talk about that?
That's what we are.
Well, I was just going to say is like the sentiment or the feeling that like you have to like know what to say when someone dies now. Or like, which I always go back to that. Like, I'm not a grief expert. I'm just grief experienced.
Yeah.
Like.
So good.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I still will like say sorry, but like I genuinely mean that I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I know that like when I was growing up, I used to hate when people say I'm sorry. I'm like, did you kill her?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you sorry about?
Right.
But obviously like that's, some people mean it like very truly. And some people just say it because like they don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Which in that case, like just say nothing.
But do you feel like because you've been doing this now for a while that do you have an expectation on yourself that you're going to be able to know what to say in these moments?
No. Well, no.
Okay. Yeah, like that hasn't changed.
No, I just say exactly what I'm feeling for that, like in that moment for that person. Yeah. But I don't want them to have this expectation that like, well, after my mom died, Ashley said this, and that wasn't the right thing to say.
Oh, I see.
Because, yeah, but I mean, I don't think people think I'm an expert. I hope they don't think I'm an expert.
I mean, we definitely are not experts. All we have is our experiences. But like it has been interesting to see how different the stories are, but also how similar
parallels.
Yeah, parallels. Yeah, exactly. What are some of the parallels that stood out for you?
Well, I think that everyone has always come back to like giving people grace. You mean like that?
The parallels that we've seen in everybody's stories.
Yeah, I feel like a lot, like almost every guest had some sort of theme around like a learning from like losing their person was like just giving people more grace.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big one.
That was a big theme, I think.
And the length of time that it has taken some people to process their grief, I think stood out to me a lot. There's a fair amount of guests who were like, oh, it was years before I finally was like, oh shit, I need to process this.
Oh yeah, in terms of actually processing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we had some different, like, and also some things that just came back for people.
Mm-hmm. And I found for me, like it's been interesting to be on my journey still.
Yes.
While hearing people's stories who are before and after me, and maybe trying to take away some of what they've done and how that can really impact my life. Have you had any takeaways from some of the episodes that have maybe significantly or in a small way have kind of changed how you move about your day to day?
Well, I think going to the point of like you're like in it, and I feel like very much out of it, just because it happened. Like in terms of like it's been interesting for you because you've been like in processing your grief.
That's true, yeah.
But I feel like I've just been so, I don't know, not out of it, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty much used to life without her.
That's true.
I've had more years of my life without her than with her. So I think I do remember like when she first died, obviously, and going to counseling and like doing all those things. So I think there was like a for me, it was like, wow, I did the grieving process. Like I did things. I didn't do nothing.
Right.
My dad always made sure that like we were like seeing counselors or, you know, talking about it and whatever. And then just me as a person, like I don't really like share it with everyone and anyone. So like sharing more of my story was probably therapeutic and helped in some ways.
Yeah.
I know people were definitely surprised that I was gonna share my story, which I don't really know why that was a surprise. I mean, I guess I could, but like I'm not gonna tell like the random Joe Blow my story on the side of the road. Like,
right.
That's just not like who I am. But like people that know me know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the ways in which like I think it's impacted me, and like maybe I've learned a little bit more about that in that perspective. But I feel like I've learned to give myself grace, like in this whole process.
That's really good.
Like,
yeah,
you know, like, oh, you don't have to be perfect, but things will bother you, and it's okay to say they're bothering you, or, you know, it could be a bad day. Like even when, like on the first day Nate left, like it was, my coworker like asked me like how I was doing, which I'm very glad she did. If she ever hears this, I did message her after, but I literally was like, I can't talk about it yet. And I like was like already starting to cry as I said that, but I don't know, past me would have either maybe not even said anything about when he was leaving, or I was just very thankful that like she said something. And then I messaged her like, hey, really sorry, I didn't mean to like cut you off, but like I just knew I wasn't going to be able to talk about it. And then she sent me cookies via Uber Eats, which was very nice of her.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
So
what kind of cookies?
Insomnia. So I had never had them before.
Me either.
But Insomnia and Crumble are like the two.
Oh, okay.
You know,
yeah.
they're like
I've
the
had
same.
Crumble.
I feel like they're similar.
They're fucking huge.
Yeah. These ones were nice, good size.
Yeah.
I ate one straight away because they were nice and warm. So, yeah. I feel like those are like two. Like I learned to give myself a little bit more grace. Probably realize that, or like, yeah, there is power in sharing my story, which enables people to feel comfortable to share their story too. Yeah. Not that they wouldn't have wanted to, but like, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think in similar ways, there's been like practical things. So we had, I believe it was Kim, her episode when she was mentioning the piano, and her son saying like, how long do I have to play the piano for my dead dad? So like that immediately I like walked upstairs from recording that. It was like, hey guys, you're done with your instruments, because they've been like not wanting to do it since Ariana died. And so there have been like these practical tips of like, how do I, you know, move about my life and my grief that have helped, which have been amazing, that I don't think I otherwise would have had these revelations if it wasn't from people willing to share their story. I don't know, but it feels like us doing this podcast has been a significant catalyst in my life to get me to quit tech and do this full time. Yeah. I don't know that would have happened if I hadn't heard these stories or like felt this call to kind of change the way that we handle grief that you and I want. So in that way, it's been really good. I've tried to give myself more grace because I see it so much in our guests. And like you said, but that's something that I'm still just struggling with. Like still wanting to be better, to be more perfect, and more perfect, to be perfect. More perfect.
You're
that's
right.
Fucking
you
arrogant.
just told yourself that you're perfect.
Exactly. Oh man, that's fucking arrogant. Like being perfect in my grief and my execution. But I think, you know, it's been a significant change in how I relate to the kids. I think again, it's hard to know if it's correlation or causation, but everything kind of happened at the same time. We started this. Yeah. I quit. I started doing this full time, and you know, here we are. So yeah, it's been really good. It's the other impactful thing is to just, like I mentioned earlier, just hearing the stories over and over again. Yeah. While editing, I mean, so many of the episodes, I'm just like editing with tears, just crying. And in some ways, like, I guess it's also helping me to continue to allow myself to grieve and to process, because it's like I'm being confronted with the same thing. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. I'm not thrilled about it. Like it does get a little bit exhausting. Like every time I have to go and edit, like there's a little apprehension, but it's worth it. It's been worth it for sure. Yeah. Well, I think there is something about like going to the correlation causation. Like ever since I started sharing like the podcast and like other stuff on LinkedIn, now I get like so many posts about grief in my LinkedIn feed. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, like, well, there's people talking about it, which is like nice to see. Like, I'm not the only one just like adding misery to people's LinkedIn feeds. Just kidding. It's not misery, but I do try to keep them like I don't want to be like false. What is that? Toxic positivity. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm very like grounded, or I try to be pretty grounded, I guess I would say. But yeah, like, you know, it's not like it's like a happy update in people's news feeds. So yeah. But there are people out there talking about it, which is proof, because Kim, Caesar, a few others have come from like multiple others, not a few others. I was also surprised at the impact like it had on like my colleagues too. So I actually like included that in my end of year review. I was like, well, it's something I do in my personal life. It's actually been something that loads of my colleagues have like reached out to me on, listened to it,
enjoy it.
Amazing.
Like, yeah, we had like a mental health, like for mental health day or mental health week or whatever it was. They did like it was like a virtual whiteboard that you put like sticky notes on, like how you help process your, like just help with your mental health. And one of my colleagues, I don't know, it was anonymous. One of my colleagues wrote like thanks, I'm grateful for the Day After podcast that
holy shit, really?
helps people and me process grief.
Fuck, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I like loved that.
That was fucking awesome.
Yeah. And this week, end of December, there's one of my colleagues is a guest. One of my former colleagues is a guest.
Mm-hmm.
One of my other former colleagues is a guest. So at my current work and previous.
Yeah.
So that was also like nice to see.
That's
shout out to Factor.
Awesome.
If you're a general counsel, contact us to learn how we can help you with your contracting.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been really fulfilled with the connections that we've made.
Yeah.
The people we've met and seeing other people who have taken their grief and turned it into creativity and businesses and things to help others.
Yeah, Katie's story is pretty cool with her book and all the things she's working on.
Yeah. And one of our guests, I can't remember, maybe you remember, said creativity is the antidote to grief.
Oh, yeah.
That was our last podcast,
that was Katie.
Right? Yeah. And I love that. Like I want that everywhere because it's just so fucking beautiful. I think it was Katie. Yeah. It was our last episode that we put out. Well, at the time of recording this. Yeah.
Oh, no, it wasn't Katie.
No?
Like we just published it?
I think so.
Gina.
Oh, Gina. Oh, it wasn't Gina.
No, it wasn't Gina.
No, it wasn't.
It was either Katie or the performer. I don't know.
Go listen to all the episodes anyways.
Yeah. Yes, that was, I liked that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really beautiful.
But all, like just different, like when Chanel is a medium.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I went and saw one finally.
Oh yeah, maybe you should share your story as the end of part of the season finale.
Oh man, yeah, I can do that. Maybe we'll do that and make you wait till the end of the episode so you listen all the way through. I'll share that at the end. So okay, yeah. So I think like it's been a journey for us. And before we talk about the 2024 vision and goals, I would ask you, what has this been like doing this with me, running this business together?
Well, you're perfect, so it's really hard to live up to your expectations.
Oh man.
No, it's been like I didn't realize that was what you were going to ask me.
I know, because I didn't put it on the outline. I just threw that shit in there to catch you off guard.
It's been great. No, actually, like seriously though, our skills complement each other very well, which I think has been great. And yeah, I think that is really one of the things that like you could never plan for that. You could never plan for like, sometimes there's episodes where like you take the lead and sometimes there's episodes where I take the lead, just depending on the story, the experience, whatever. But I feel like it's come really natural to us in terms of like that whole side of it. And then I'm obviously in no position to quit my day job. So
but we'll get there.
So it's great that you're able to do that. I say leave to start this. You said quit before I was going to quit.
I did, I know.
But yeah, like I think and it's like very much in the world of like your other businesses. So it all comes together. So yeah, it's been a great experience.
Yeah, I think so.
What's it been like working with me?
It's been fucking phenomenal. Yeah, I
What are
agree.
my skills? How perfect am I?
You are beyond perfect, and it's so hard to live up to your expectations and the example that you have set. And I'm crushed under the weight of it every single day on top of my grief. So thank you very much.
So crushed under it.
No, I think it's just interesting that I look back on the moment when we were just like, hey, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
And then how we let it go for so long. And then actually starting it was like, yeah, of course, this will be fine. And it's like, we've always had a good relationship growing up. So I'm like, this will be fine. But it is kind of mind bending to me how perfect the skill sets have been.
Yeah.
And how like there has been no like it's just been so easy for us to find our groove.
Yeah.
Right. Like the things that you take care of and the things that I take care of, or like when we need to get each other's backs or schedule it, like everything has just been so easy.
Yeah.
And we're always on the same page. And when we're not, it's always for the greater good. So like, I've been really excited about that, because I was actually just thinking about this today, waiting for you to come over to record. And I'm like, I could never have done this on my own. There's just no way that it would be what it is without you.
I think you need to give yourself some grace.
There's no way. Like the ability for you to reach out to people, the ideas that you have helped formulate with it, like it's just been like, I'm really blown away and excited, because I would not want to be doing this alone. Without you.
Well, same.
Yeah.
I never would have done it alone. It was only because you were constantly writing on Facebook. And I was like, well, people are engaging with this. So
yeah,
they're not just like liking it and walking away.
Yeah.
Everyone would engage with it. 9 people out of 10 people would say the wrong fucking thing, but you know.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll fix that.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen to the podcast.
Yeah, that's right. We just start pointing them to like episodes of like, you really need to go listen to this.
Yeah, you should listen to this episode specifically.
Yeah.
No, but I actually even have seen, well, this is like slightly a tangent, but I completely agree in terms of like, I think that was like that is what makes it. Because like if it was a pain in the ass to do, or like we didn't see eye to eye on anything, then it wouldn't be where it is today.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's a nice reminder that I'm good at my job.
You are very good at your job.
Like,
yes.
We do a lot of outbound stuff at work. So it's obviously a very different kind of outbound, but reaching out to potential guests, and I'm very pleasantly surprised. And I don't think I've gotten a no. I have not gotten a no. And one person that I did reach out to that is going to come on specifically said, like, I was going to reach out to you. I want to do like 1 or 2 more things. It was like something specific he wanted to do before he came on.
Okay.
But he is very much interested. So, and I kind of, it's nice to see some faces from like, you know, high school and different lives that have either listened or even just like engaging with content on social, which obviously always helps. Please engage, please like, share.
Yeah.
Please subscribe.
Yeah.
Become a supporter. So that has also been a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. 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 That's amazing. And I think maybe it's not always obvious, but it is actually a shit ton of work to run this.
Yeah.
A lot of work. There's scheduling guests, there's finding, there's networking, there's getting all the stories out there, there's editing, there's the technical aspect, there's the hosting fees. Like, it is a lot of fucking work, which makes sense why most podcasts die after 10 episodes. So we've hit massive milestones. We're actually we're the top 10% in the world. Yeah. Which I mean, there's a huge delta between the 10% and the 1%, but like, hey, we're fucking 10%. Top 10% after 1 year. That's fucking awesome.
I wouldn't have even thought it would be top 50%.
Me either.
So I'll fucking take it.
Yeah.
And I think we're up to almost 40 countries of listeners. That's awesome. And I think the fact that like the number of guests that we've gotten is also something that we should, you know, be pretty excited about in terms of a metric.
And the impact that them sharing their story has had on their life, which is really for us the biggest metric.
Also, the amount of people that have reached out and said that it's like helped them in some way, shape, or form. I think, you know, almost every single guest has said like, I'm so happy this exists.
Yeah.
So I think those are other things that you can't really put a price tag on.
Yeah. And I think with that, we can probably just segue into our 2024 vision and goals. I don't think we've never really talked about what our goal is with this and what we want to do.
Share about the vision, and then we can talk about specifically this year's goals.
So in the spirit of transparency, because we always want to be transparent, the goal for us, I mean, the high level vision goal is we want to build an entire podcast network. So we want a media network that is going to help support grief of all sorts. It could be pet grief or grief on a specific, Alzheimer's or some type of specific disease, regional grief podcast, which is like, maybe it's somebody in another country and there are counterparts. Like, for us, we just want to have a vast network that can help support and start changing the way that the world handles grief. That's our big high arching vision. For 2024, we obviously need to start taking those first steps. And like we mentioned before, it is unfortunately a shit ton of work and a lot of financial investment to keep this thing going. So we need to start looking at ways to get support for the show, financial support, getting the word out there about the show, and allowing us to have new opportunities. So one of our first goals is we need to get 25 subscribers. So that's thedayafter.com/plus. You can go and subscribe for a cup of a coffee a month. And it seems like a little, but it actually goes a long way. And if we can get that ball rolling, that would be fucking phenomenal. The other thing we really want to do is we want to start talking to corporations and seeing if they want to partner with us. And the goal there would be allowing corporations to start partnering with us as a resource, and they can invest in us and become,
or do something together.
Yeah, or do something together. And that could be a part of them helping the conversation with grief and getting resources out there. So if you do know any companies that might want to do that or have some money that they want to put towards donations and stuff like that, that'd be amazing. Yeah, nonprofits. And then also becoming a resource for nonprofits. I think that would be an amazing asset. I know there's other resources and podcasts who have successfully done that and been very impactful in like cancer centers or things like that. So we would love to start doing that. But yeah, that's kind of the high level vision and our 2024 goals. But what else did I miss? How are you feeling about 2024?
Yeah, I feel good. Obviously, like growing listenership and things like that are still core, and continuing to get guests and share stories, and also figuring out a way to maybe put in other episodes around the stories that are a little bit more like lighter. And I say lighter, but what's a bad word? But just make you laugh. I don't know.
Another side of grief.
Yeah. So if you have any ideas,
yes,
we'd love to hear them. So I think that would be the other thing for this year. And then obviously just continuing kind of the work we're doing on social and getting you more out there on speaking engagements, because I have no desire to do that ever.
What is some of the vision for our growth for 2024, since that is definitely your skill set and something you've been focusing on for us?
Well, I feel like LinkedIn has been like just a catalyst for a lot of this growth in terms of even just getting guests, listeners, etc. So, continuing to, be active on LinkedIn and creating kind of like that personal brand, but also building the Day After brand. And I want to double, triple, quadruple downloads, and I want to be in every country in the world. So, but baby steps. So I think maybe like doubling it is like a nice lofty goal. Yeah. I shouldn't say lofty. I think that's an achievable goal. So if I say like triple, maybe that's like the kind of stretch goal. Yeah.
I think so.
I know that like all of my friends, and I know a lot of our listeners share it with other people. Like people have told me that. I can see that like a friend has had a friend's family member die, and they come and follow us on social. So I know that is happening, and it's like the snowball going downhill.
Right. And the other thing we want to do, or the other thing we will do, is we're going to put out very short quarterly episodes to let you know kind of what's happening behind the scenes, where we're at with our goals, because this really is a community supported podcast, or that's what we want it to be, right? We don't want to have like really absurd ads inserted in here that aren't relevant just for the sake of money. Like this is a community thing, and we want to be transparent with what we're doing. So we are planning on doing quarterly updates, just telling you where we're at, being honest about it. And so we're really looking forward to it, and we're excited for 2024. I feel like we've learned so much, even beyond the things that we've talked about here. And we're in a good position to kind of take this to the next level. And really, the goal is always to share stories, because stories are the most powerful thing we have. So that's sharing our guest stories on the podcast, me getting out there and doing some speaking engagements to kind of share that story and everything that we have going on, because Ashley doesn't want to go speak. But so if we summed it up, because, we could use your help. Yes. Some of the things that are truly impactful are: one, sharing sharing with everybody that you know that you think could benefit. That really does help us.
Yep.
Subscribing at thedayafter.com/plus. It honestly is a massive help. If you know any nonprofits or any corporations that would be interested in collaborating with us, please, please, please reach out to Ashley or I, and you can get us at ashley@thedayafter.com or cj@thedayafter.com. And yeah, just sharing, reviewing the podcast, those engagements with the show, they truly, truly do go a long way.
Thank you to everyone that left a review this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We got amazing reviews.
Yeah. I was just bringing them up. I was like, oh, maybe I should read them, but everyone can go read them themselves. I don't need to.
No. You don't want to read one? We could read like one.
One? Okay.
Read a couple. No, I'll have to vamp while she looks. So
I liked this one. Real, raw, and transparent. Anyone who wants some perspective and acceptance of death and grief needs this podcast. If you are fortunate to not have lost someone close to you, listen and learn. Thank you for doing this and starting these conversations.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah. Real, compelling conversations about life after the death of a loved one. CJ and Ashley are articulate and honest. It feels like a conversation with old friends. Highly recommend.
Yeah. Don't understand that one, but I love it. I don't think.
What do you mean?
We're only articulate because we edit it that way.
No, that's
I'm
not
just
true.
kidding. I'm
That's
just
not
kidding.
true.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that's really everything. So
no, you were
I'm going to do the
you were
story.
summarizing.
Yeah. So
Did you finish summarizing?
I think so. Is there anything else?
No.
No. Any other topics before I do a quick little rundown of what it was like for me to go to a medium?
Oh, yeah. You got to talk. I haven't even really heard the full story, did I?
Yeah, I know. I should send you because I recorded the audio.
Oh, wow.
And then I edited it down to the 11. Oh, it's like 11 minutes and 39 seconds of the most impactful stuff. Here, close the door.
Wow.
Hi, come here, Molly. Come on.
Stretch.
Come sit with me while we finish the podcast. Boop. All right. So yeah, thanks for sticking around for this episode. And I will finish it with kind of my reason for going to the medium and what that experience was like. So I would say damn near all of our guests had experiences with mediums. Is that fair to say? I mean, it's been most of.
A lot of them did, yeah.
Yeah,
a
large number of them.
Yeah.
And I've had people in my life who have encouraged me to go. And every time it comes up on an episode, I'm just like, fuck that. I'm not going. So for me, I've just been like wildly scared and also not sure what I believed, though I've had some pretty significant, undeniable experiences since Ariana has died. Even ones with people who have told me that they were mediums. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Fair.
So I had somebody that I trusted and really respected in my life who has been going to mediums and has a sister who is a medium. And she continued to encourage me, and she told me, hey, I went and saw this guy and she had a really good experience with it. She was able to make contact with a loved one that had passed. And even during the session, the sister who was a medium was like then saying stuff about the medium of like, hey, you did such and such. So it was enough for me to say, if I'm going to do it, at least I know this guy's vetted and is real if this thing is real. Yeah. So I had the appointment scheduled. We recorded the night before. You remember this? It was.
Oh, we recorded. Yeah. Sorry. I thought you were saying that you and him.
No. And the woman was talking about it that we were interviewing.
Oh, yeah, Ashley. Yeah. Okay, that was weird that she noticed it.
Right.
I was pissed off that I did not see that because I was like looking. I think I was like looking up and I was like, fuck.
Yeah, it was. So she was talking about how this experience with a medium, with a friend or a coworker. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I started to tell her like, hey, I have an appointment tomorrow. And I'm like, I have all these questions and I've been reading them out loud. Because I talk to Ariana every day anyway. So I was like, hey, Ariana, here's all these questions I have. I'm not going to ask them in session, but if you could answer them for me so I know that this thing is real. And then Ashley, the guest, was like, as you were talking about that, she's like, a thumbs up came across your screen.
Yeah.
But my hands weren't up. So like there was no way for me to trigger it. So I was like, well, that's interesting. My rational brain wanted to excuse it away.
Yeah.
So I wake up the next day And I'm just fucking panicked all day because I'm like, I don't want to go into this thing and hear what a piece of shit I am, or that I'm dying, or Ariana's
they're
like,
not going to tell the future.
I know.
Aren't they? Isn't that the biggest thing? They're not a psychic. Like,
no, they don't tell the future, but like, I was so scared to hear from Ariana again because I'm like, I still live like where I just don't, like, I just want to do everything that I can for her.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
Well, I don't agree. I know what you mean.
No, yeah. So I was just really nervous because it's like, I just don't know what to expect. Yeah. And I don't want to hear anything that's going to make me spiral because I get very anxious about very illogical things. And yeah.
I feel like death does that to you.
Yeah.
Like I think like my one friend was like, we were talking about how like do not disturb.
Yeah.
You always have your fucking phone on do not disturb. Right?
I do.
But she was like, I can't, like I just can't have it on do not disturb because like when her mom was sick, like just getting like making sure she could get phone calls and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I definitely have that.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, like I have like people that can like break through the, the barrier or whatever. And that, like, I think that gave me comfort because I do want to like do not disturb all the social media stuff. Yes. I turn off all push notifications because I hate that.
Me too.
But like, I get the anxious thoughts about very illogical things.
Yeah.
Like,
so, I mean, like, even like I could have tests done and at the doctor's and then be like, oh, they're lying. The test is wrong. Like, it's like crazy. So I'm just like, it could be something very innocuous that I hear in the session. And then I'm just going to be like, well, what if they actually meant this? Anyway, so the time finally comes. It was at like 3:30 or something. And I'm just waiting in the Zoom because it was over Zoom. I had the kids leave so that way I could just be home so that there was no interference or anything. And I'm shaking and my stomach is like turning over and over and over. And the guy pops on screen and he has the most upbeat, positive, like kind personality ever. And he's like, okay, hey, how's it going? I was like, hey, I've never done this before. I'm really scared. Like right away. And he was like, it's okay. He's like, it's going to be okay. He's like, I'm here and we're going to work together and we're going to figure out what the spirits want to say to you.
Yeah.
And he's like, you'll get like 70 to 80% of it. 20% might not make sense. He's like, it's okay. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you you're dying. I'm not going to tell you you have some horrific disease. He's like, I'm not that kind of medium. He's like, we're going to just be here to help you in your life and stuff. So he was like, before we begin, he's like, just tell me what your intention is. He's like, make it as vague as possible. He's like, I don't want to know anything about anything. He's like, you paid me to be here. He's like, let me do the work. And I was like, okay, that's a green check mark.
Yeah.
So the intent with going into this session was I'm not going to say anything. Yeah. And I'm going to give as little as possible.
Right.
Because, again, that like skepticism in me, though I was way more open to it. So he's like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to open myself up to this. And immediately my dad came through.
Wow.
Yeah. It was he's your uncle. Yeah. It was Uncle Chuck. It was my dad. And it was undeniable. So, and then so what he would do is he was like, does this make sense? He doesn't ask yes or no or leading questions. He just like tells you what he's feeling or what he's hearing. And he says, does it make sense? And if you say yes, he keeps going. If you say no, he's like, that's fine. We'll keep going.
Yeah.
So all I would just, yes, that makes sense. Yes, that makes sense. And then once he like clued into the spirit who was my dad, he just started saying like, okay, this is what he's saying to you. And, we went for about 10 minutes and I just cried my fucking eyes out.
Wow.
Cried my eyes out. And there was things that he was talking about that the only other person that knows is my therapist. Because it was only things that I was talking about in therapy.
Yeah. Wow.
And like where I was at and like the process and what I'm doing, what I'm working on now. And it like blew me away. It was everything that I needed to hear. And it was just so undeniable that it was my dad. And then he was like calling me out and he was saying like, CJ didn't believe in any of this a couple of years ago. And he's made like this 180 degree. Like it was mind blowing.
Yeah. Wow.
So then I'm like looking at the clock and I'm like, oh my God, our time is getting, it's ticking on. And I'm like, I just want to hear from Ariana. So he starts going in, I'm getting a C, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. And then I was like, oh, it's my grandma. And then he was just like going on. And I was just like, I started to spiral, and I was like getting really anxious because I'm like, it's great that like these people are coming through, and like all these people were coming through. He was like, there's a lot of people here right now. And he's like, I'm trying to clue into who's trying to talk to you. So I started getting anxious, and I was like, I just want to hear from Ariana. In my mind, I'm thinking, so I told him, I was like, hey, because I wasn't understanding anything that he was saying to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not feeling good. I feel very anxious right now because there's one person that I want to contact. And he was like, okay. He's like, let's just take a second, and we kind of just breathe for a minute. He's like, I want you to think of a happy memory with this person that you're trying to reach. So I started picturing our wedding day and her walking down the aisle. And he immediately was like, oh my gosh. He's like, it's like sunshine, this spirit. And he was like, they're coming in very softly. He's like, you must still have a lot of grief around this. I was like, yeah. So then and then all of a sudden he was almost in tears, and he was like, oh, this person died way too young. And then he was like, oh, my whole body hurts. And then he was like, there's an engagement ring. And then he was like, this was your partner. I was like, yeah, it was my wife. And so then once we finally like clued into it, Ariana started speaking, and there was a lot that came through, and it was really, it's really hard to put to words what it was like to hear from her again. And one of the things, she's like, he needs to sleep. He's like, you don't sleep. I was like, no. He's like, she's saying you need to sleep more. And I was like, I'm fucking trying. But I think of all the things that she said, some of the interesting stuff was, it was very much her personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was joking with me, and she was telling, like, because it would be like the medium's talking, and then he talks to me, and he was like, oh, she's laughing, saying that like you would spiral all the time and she'd have to calm you down. I was like, that's exactly how our relationship was. So we did that for a little bit, and then at the end he asked, like, do you have any questions? So I asked just a few, and yeah, it was fucking.
She confirmed that it was her that sent the thumbs up, right? You said.
Oh yeah. So then he was telling me about this experience with the thumbs up, and confirmed that that's what it was. He confirmed signs from my dad and signs from Ariana, which
is that like
all been
sign?
Happening. Yeah. So I have 3 from Ariana, and then 1 from my dad, and then we kind of lost the train of thought. There was other ones that he had, but we moved on.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, those signs are all the things that in my heart I have felt like was them.
Right.
And it was confirmed to me. And yeah, in ways that are just very much the way that Ariana would talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah. Like electronics are a big thing, which my electronics do very weird things in this house.
Yeah.
The lights in my closet at different times when I'm stressed will start freaking out, and they just start flashing, and they won't stop. And then once the situation's resolved, they stop.
So that's her saying, I'm here.
Yeah. So she said she's always here.
She's always. Like, calm the fuck down.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And did you say butterflies or no?
No.
No. What's the sign from your dad? Or do you know?
Blue Jays.
Blue Jays.
Yeah. And I always have blue jays out in my yard. And the crazy thing is, since that appointment, like on Christmas Eve and Christmas, which were really challenging for me, we left the house and there was an insane amount of blue jays flooding where we were driving. And even that the kids are like, blue jays, look at all the blue jays. Wow. Yeah, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm. So overall, it was a wild experience. And I do like, it's hard to admit, but I do believe that it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. Like, it was really fucking them.
I believe it.
Yeah. And I can't believe I waited this long, but like, I needed to. It was a journey for me.
Yeah, exactly. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was a good one, although we knew it would be.
I know. That's what everybody said.
We knew it would be.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So that's our year end. It was our first year doing this, and we're ready for fucking 2024.
Let's fucking go.
Let's do it. So, any last words before we bid the people adieu?
No.
All right. Well, thanks for listening and sticking around and listening to us ramble. And until the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Day After. You can find this podcast and more at our website at www.thedayafter.com. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd really appreciate it if you take a moment to leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast.